Kenya Lewis Yarbrough. I am a youth librarian here, and Amy Greshaw is over here. So we are the organizers of the 2019 Belleville Area District Local Author Fair. This is the second one that we've had. And
non-consecutive.
Yeah. We took a break last year. Yes. But yeah, so I was excited when Amy asked me to help her organize this today. So we want to thank you for coming out and supporting the local authors here. We're going to, at 2 o'clock, you'll be able to go around and meet and get to know them. They will have raffle tickets available at each of their tables, so when you visit them, even if you, so we hope that you'll find something that you would like to purchase, but if not, you will at least get to know our local authors here. The authors are from the Belleville, Van Buren, Sumter area, as well as the surrounding areas of here in the metro area. Make sure that Amy gave me notes. We have blackout poetry as an activity, which is on the other side of the octagon there, and we'll also have an activity for the kids to design their own book covers. Adults are encouraged to participate as well. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker today. She is an award-winning romance novel. She also had in 2018 in November the release of Deadly Sexy as a movie, which is available on Amazon if you haven't had a chance to watch that yet. She is local. She lives right here in our Belleville area district community, and often answers the call when we ask for her to come out and speak and participate and share her writing skills with our community. And she writes historical and contemporary romance. So, Beverly Jenkins.
All right. Thank you. If you are a local author participating in this event, will you stand up so people can see you? Thank you. Whenever I go places, I always try and share the light. There's always enough light to go around. So thank you for your writing, and thank you for being here today. Give you a short kind of bio. My first book was published in 1994. I've been writing since then. I have about 40 plus books in that, 25 years. I'm the Michigan Library Association Author of the Year for 2018. I'm the 2017 awardee of the Romance Writers of America Lifetime Achievement Award, which is named after Nora Roberts. And I'm an NAACP nominee for literature. So I've done a lot of stuff. But my most important thing is writing. And we're going to talk about that today. Writing is hard. People think, 1, it's easy. 2, we're all rich. And 3, we can give them a magic ticket that leads to publication. Now, I made 27 cents a book with my first book. So I obviously was not in it for the money. You can probably count on 2 hands the authors who have become extremely wealthy at doing what we do. There's Nora Roberts, of course, and James Patterson, and J.K. Rowling, and Stephen King, and Daniel Steele, Debbie McComber, Nicholas Sparks, to name a few. So why do we do this? Most of us do it because we have to. Writing is in our blood. It fuels our dreams and seems to be embedded in our DNA. Lord Byron once famously said, "If I don't write to empty my mind, I go mad." That's us. We write to keep our sanity because we have people in our heads demanding to have their stories told. We we hope we can make a good living at this, but we really just want to tell our stories. The authors I've met over the years who say they're in this strictly for the money usually wind up with none because they're not writing from their hearts. And as for the magic formula or golden ticket, there is none. I go to stuff all the time and people be like, well, how do I get published? How do I get published? How do I get published? It's all work. All the time. All the time. Now I'm going to tell you today, I'm not going to tell you today that what I'm going to tell you is going to put you on the New York Times bestsellers list. But what I'm going to try and do is hopefully eliminate some of the pitfalls that aspiring and new writers stumble into by giving you some information maybe you can use. Being able to write and write well is a gift, just like a beautiful singing voice or the ability to paint or sculpt. We are special, and we are all different. We come from small towns, big cities, north, south, east, and west. We are married. We are single. We have kids. We have chosen to be childless and happy about it. We are raised by single mothers or grew up in stable two-parent homes or moved from home to home in foster care. We are estranged from our birth family, blindsided by divorce, in relationships so toxic we feared for our lives and the lives of our children, and we have buried the men and women we've loved far too soon. We are healthy. We're in chemo. We have kids blooming in college and kids incarcerated for the next 10 years. So look around. Someone in this room is living one of those lives. But because of our gift, we can take our lives and the 26 letters of the alphabet and create stories that offer hope, closure, and love. Stories that make people think, make them so filled with fear they're afraid to turn the lights off at night, or miss their stops on the subway or the train because they're so busy turning pages. We can take readers back in time or to the future, or visit worlds no one has seen that are peopled with aliens, vampires, robots, or scary clowns. Writing matters because it can change lives. So now that I've said all this, let me share with you some of the things I've learned since I've been writing since the earth cooled. There's no right way to do this. Don't let anyone tell you that there is. Whatever process works for you is the right process. Some of us are plotters, some of us are pantsers, some of us are plantsers. Y'all know what that is? People are shaking their head. Okay. Oh, and please don't be afraid to ask questions. If it's something that you need, throw up a hand. Okay, plotters. We know what plotters are. They outline and they plot. And I got a girlfriend, Betty Ford, who writes romance. And she plots everything in that book from the first letter on the first page to the D in the end. Pantsers. Pantsers write by the seat of their pants. We don't know what we're doing. We may have a kernel of a plot. We don't outline. We just go with it. And it scares the plotters to death. Because it's like walking over the Grand Canyon on a tightrope with no net. Now, plantsers are a little bit of both. They will plot, sort of. They plan a little bit, but they still have that unknown. Because I like for the characters to tell me the story. So we've got plotters, pantsers, and plantsers. Okay? That's an RWA thing. Romance Writers of America. We come up with some crazy stuff. Some writers write every day. Others do not. As writers, we already put enough pressure on ourselves, so don't let some random person at a workshop or on the internet or Twitter or a podcast add more by telling you what's the right way to write. Whatever works for you is the right way to write. Number 2, Not everybody's going to support your career as a writer. More than likely, everyone in this room has a hater in their life throwing shade on your dreams. Ignore them. Number 3, don't sneer at other genres. Those of us who write romance, we get this a lot. What you write is not better or more lucrative or more polished than anyone else's. In fact, like I said, romance, we get a lot of hate. It's the most lucrative. We sell more than sci-fi, westerns, and mysteries combined. A writing career is all about sales. And the romance community brought $5 billion to the table last year. That's a billion as with a B. So when folks want to shade us or belittle us, we slap them with our checks on the way to the bank. Don't sneer. Right, Les? How many romance people we got in the audience? Leslie? Okay, I see you. All right. Number 4. Our words are not made out of gold. Be open to constructive criticism from editors and writers that you trust. Number 5. Know the tropes of your genre, inside and out. Only then can you know what's bedrock and what isn't. You can't bend the rules if you don't know the rules. Also, learn as much as you can about the business of publishing and writing. Can you compose a query letter that gets you a good look from an agent? Do you know if there's a good way around the madness that is Amazon? What goes into a good cover design so readers will pick it up? Number 6. To me, this is the most important. Don't let the success of others make you feel less. They're on their path, you're on yours. Now, are you going to be jealous if your critique partner scores a 3-book deal with a traditional publisher? Or that friend whose indie publish trends in the top 10 on Amazon? Of course you are. We're human. But celebrate their success. And if you're the one who snagged the 3-book deal or is trending on Amazon, don't gloat. Gloating is ugly. It makes you look ugly too. There are children in the room, so I will not say the last line that goes with this. Number 7. I'll tell you about, you can ask me about it when we get done. Number 7. Don't you dare give up on your dream to write or to become published. Not allowed. I don't care how discouraging this journey has been for you. Don't give up. There's someone out in the reader world waiting on the story only you can tell. Don't give up. 8. There is no shame in writing mass market genre fiction. Whether it's romance, sci-fi, fantasy, cozy mysteries, or horror. None. I was surprised to learn that many MFA programs don't teach genre fiction. For them, it's all about the so-called literary fiction. Well, genre fiction pays the bills. It's where the money is, especially if you can string together enough well-written words to make a career. Never, ever be ashamed of what you write. Number 9. Reviews are for readers, not authors. Please don't engage or start fights with reviewers over what you consider a bad review. There is a big thread on Twitter right now with a knucklehead guy who has posted maybe 8 pages of his qualifications, including his SAT scores in high school, as to why he should not have gotten a 2-star review. And this guy is going on and on and on, and people are like, what is your problem? if you're on Twitter, pick up that thread.
That's awesome.
Are you on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I am the queen. It's Beyonce's internet, but I got my Bev Hive. So don't start fights with reviewers. Goodreads and all of that is for readers. So back to this guy. So he's telling us, all this stuff about how great a writer he is, and how dare they give him this 2-star review, and how he had changed. So the review site, which is a pretty well-known review site, says, okay, this is before they published his rant. You want to act like a child? We're going to treat you like a child. So they put everything that he wrote up on Twitter. So authors from all over the place are like, so when he's talking about his reviews, so if you go and you look at the reviews, and he's only got maybe 3 or 4, but if you compare the writing, he wrote the reviews that are, don't do that. In fact, many writers that I know never read their reviews. I read mine because they're usually good. But, like I said, sites like Goodreads and all that, those are for readers. And truthfully, as in the words of Jill Scott, everything ain't for everybody. Not everyone is going to love your work. Number 10. I only got 10, so this is the last one. In today's world, you need a presence on social media. Be it Facebook, be it Twitter or Instagram, it's where your readers are now. Being a Luddite is no excuse, sorry. There are only a handful of bookstores out there now. I mean, the indie bookstores are coming back, but a lot of them are not doing signings for genre fiction. They're too busy doing literary fiction. In the past, you could build your readership with signings. Today, no. I've seen a significant jump in my reader numbers by building communities on Facebook and Twitter. And if you don't know how these sites work, find somebody to teach you. There's somebody out there, your kids, your neighbors, your grandkids, your critique partners. You need to be where the people/readers gather. And they gather online. Also, for those of you who are aspiring or trying to get a wider distribution, 3 or 4 times a year, agents and editors have special pitch sessions on Twitter. It's called PitMad, where you can pitch ideas directly to them. And it usually runs for 24 hours, and like I said, it's 3 or 4 times a day. 3 or 4 times a year. Some are just devoted to whoever wants to pitch. Some are devoted to own voices. Some are devoted to YA. Some are just sci-fi. But you're never going to get an opportunity to do this if you're not online. So it's kind of scary out there in them Twitter streets, as we say. But, and Facebook is a mess, a hot mess. But there are groups that are devoted just to writers, where you can network and you can give each other advice and you can support each other. So sidestep the madness that is Facebook and look for those groups that specifically speak to you as an author or you as an aspiring writer. But like I said, you can't participate if you aren't online. Okay, those are my 10. Y'all have things to do, and I'm so far behind on this book, we don't even want to talk about it. I shouldn't even be here. But for the Belleville Library, I will shower and put on clothes and come here.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, y'all appreciate me taking a shower, I know. My daughter, who also grew up in this community, she calls me author woman. And if I'm on deadline, which I have been I feel like I've been on deadline for the last 5 years. I do 2 books a year. I do a romance and then I do the women's fiction for the Blessing series. She'll call me on deadline and say, Mom, or author older women, when was the last time you had a shower? And if you have to think about it, get in the shower. So I I showered this morning. So does anybody have any questions about anything devoted to writing or concerning writing? Yes.
Would you tell us what your day is like when you're writing?
My day, I spend most of my day on Twitter. I write at night.
Okay.
When hubby is in heaven playing golf right now. He's been gone since '03. My kids are grown and gone. So I'm in the house by myself. But when I had a husband and 2 kids and a job and a brownie troop and 9 different hats at Trinity Episcopal Church down the street, I wrote at night. So now that I'm in the house by myself, I'm still writing at night. For some reason, we write at different times, just like we have different processes. And for me, the brain wakes up at about 9 o'clock. I may write till 2, 3 in the morning because I don't have a real job. And my girlfriends know not to call me before 10 o'clock because I'm not going to the phone. So my process is really, I have no process. I'm always behind. My girlfriend Brenda Jackson, some of you who've read Brenda, is so disciplined. Nora Roberts is so disciplined. Nora talks about getting up at 6 in the morning or whatever and working out for an hour and working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. She make me tired just looking at her. So my process, which I'm telling everybody, please do not follow me. Don't do what I do. But once I'm so far behind, the story for me starts to come. Because like I said, I'm a pantser. I don't know what the story's going to be. And it starts to come in a rush. So I may go, like right now, the book is due June 1st, so I got, yeah. I got 30,000 words to do. It's about 115 pages. So, and I can, on a good day, do 2,000 words a day. So it's going to be close. Because I have to be in LA the 31st and the 1st of June to do a 2-day event out there for the new book that I did finish that's coming out next week. So
What's the title of that book?
it's called Rebel. It's a historical set during Reconstruction in New Orleans. I do a lot of history stuff. I'll give you a bibliography in the backs of the book so that you can continue the history if you want. So that's sort of my process when I'm not online. I spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Tell us how you start your book clubs off. I think you wanted to be a DJ in your past life.
No, well, yeah, I have a book club online too. I do music and all that, but I spend a lot of time on Twitter, which is why I'm usually always late with my books. My editor doesn't do this, but I can hear her in the background because she's on Twitter too. Bev, get off Twitter. Go to work. So yeah, your editors are online, publishers are online. I mean, everybody's on Twitter that's connected with writing. So.
I have a question.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
What made you fall in love with literature?
Libraries. I would not be here. I got you. I would not be here were it not for the Mark Twain Library, Detroit Public Libraries, on Gratiot and what is that? I can't remember this. I think it's not Gratiot and Baldwin. But anyway, it's torn down now. It was abandoned during Detroit's bankruptcy. And when I saw what it looked like inside, I cried. I was there every Saturday, bringing home as many books as my skinny little arms could carry. My mother did not censor what I read. As long as I was reading, she didn't care what it was. And I tell the story I read every book in that library. No joke. Every book in that library, from the kids' books to the young adult books to the adult books. Every book in that library. And then I had to move downtown, and of course you can't read every book in that library. There's like, 2 acres of books. But, and as a kid growing up, 2 parents, economically challenged, books could take me places my parents never could. They gave me vocabulary. They gave me voice. They gave me adventure. They gave me love stories. So all of that went into making me who I am today, the award-winning whoever, Slayer of Words. That's my brand, Slayer of Words. It's a long story, too. So everything that I am is rooted in my parents, the way I was raised, and libraries. Your question.
Yes.
Hold on a minute. I got these people up here. I get you. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, I think reading can transport you to different places.
Oh, yeah.
So how much of your time goes into researching the different settings that you write about, or do you write about places you've been?
I write about places I've been. I write about places I've never been, because I worked in libraries most of my adult life, and I know where to find, what grows and what doesn't grow, and the temperatures and all of that. And then the characters take me places I've never been. I was writing one of my older titles, Always and Forever, and it's about this guy. He was a sheriff right after the Civil War. Got run out of town. Got what word am I looking for? Accused of something that he didn't do. So he had to leave town. He comes back. The people who he had the beef with, they beat him up. They're dragging him behind his wagon, right? So his people, because he's all beat up and he's messed up, they're trying to get him out of town. So the characters, because like I say, I'm a pantser. I'm typing. We're in the swamps of Texas. I'm like, wait a minute. Texas has swamps? I had to get my atlas out and look, and sure enough, right there on the coast of Louisiana between, there's swamp. I had no idea. So a lot of times the characters know more about the story. And in the swamp was one of the main characters of the book that I didn't even know was there. I didn't even know who she was. So, yeah, being a pantser can be adventurous and kind of scary. The gentleman back there in the green shirt, you had a question, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any recommendations for someone who'd like to start to get published?
Yeah. If you're looking for info on publishing, there's a writer's market, which is published every year. It's a big, thick thing. I know Mary Jo probably has it here. If you're online, I always send people to janefriedman.com.
Jane what, ma'am?
janefriedman.com.
Oh, Jane. Okay.
Jane is a former New York bigwig. She has imprints. She's been an editor. And her website now is devoted to helping people get published. And she's got all kinds of tricks of the trade. She's got all kinds of info. So I send, when people ask me that, that's their homework. Go visit janefriedman.com. That's FRIEDMAN, just like it sounds. And check out our website. If you're looking for writing exercises and I recommend Stephen King's On Writing. It's got one of the best books on learning how to write. That and The Art of War for Writers, and I cannot think of the author right now. But you can Google them. Okay? Does that help?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Greatly.
All right. Let me get her in the back, and I'm coming forward. Back there. Yeah.
I don't know if I missed part of your talk, but can you just relate the importance of getting a true editor to edit?
Oh, yes, please, yes.
I'm an editor, and when I read certain things, I can tell that maybe they're playing down the street, maybe said they edited, but they don't even want to turn it.
you know, we,
Can you express?
yeah, I mean, it's, okay, we're having sort of that problem with traditional publishing and independent. And we're having the problem with traditional publishing because, okay, when I started, there were like 30 publishers in 94. Now there are 5. So they've cut all this work, but they haven't added people to help the editors. So they are just swamped. And they're not, some of them, I'm not going to say all of them, some of them are not able to give the manuscripts the keen eye that they were given it even 10 years ago. When self-publishing took off, some of the indie writers did not think they needed an editor. So you had these terrible books. I mean, even if it was a great premise, you couldn't read it because it needed editing. I mean, and we had young aspiring and young just published writers arguing with us on Facebook that grammar is subjective. No, please. No, right? So, editors are so important. I mean, I would not be award winning and have, 40,000 books without an editor. You are not that perfect. And like I said, our words are not made out of gold. I mean, you write these, I write these gorgeous sentences, right? And you'd be like, oh, that is just beautiful. And then you go back to edit and it doesn't fit. And you try and force that sentence in there and it's like, no, can't use it. You gotta cut it. And it breaks your heart. But you're going to write beautiful sentences in the future. So, don't sweat the small stuff. So does that help?
It does.
Okay. Now, I think you're next. Yeah, the sweater.
What are some of your favorite tropes that you like to play with?
I like to play with, I play with a lot of tropes. And being African American, writing in just writing mass market fiction, period. I play with stereotypes. History tells us that, African Americans were slaves, we were freed in 1865, and then we were, disappeared for 100 years, like maybe the Borg took us. And then we suddenly appeared in Watts riding in 1965 or in the South during the Civil War, during the Civil Rights Movement. So I got that whole century I get to play with. But I like, and the brain is just dead. I got like 3 working brain cells right now. I like Marriage is a Convenience. I like that. I like flipped roles. Like maybe she's the bodyguard and he needs to be. I like non-traditional stuff. I have female bodyguards. I have female sports agents. I have what we call kick butt heroines. I like to play with all of that stuff. And I don't know what it's going to be until the book starts because I'm a pantser. Is that answered?
Yeah.
What's your favorite trope?
As someone who writes paranormal romance,
And I love paranormal too. I got the new Pat Briggs on my TBR right now, and I'm going, hurry up, get done with this book so I can read. Yeah.
I honestly like to play with monsters that have some intelligence.
Okay. Pat Briggs is a good one for that, though. Misty's Garage. So, any other questions? I know you got some. I'm sorry, yes.
Who or what inspires you? Does your late husband still inspire you?
Yeah, he's still sending me stuff. Yeah. I think, if you ask an author where their stories come, they can't tell you where it comes from. They come through me. They're not of me. I could be watching a football game and a character will tap me on the shoulder and say, write my story. And I'd be like, wait, who are you? I'm watching the game. Come back later. But the history inspires me. the 19th century African American history inspires me. Because there were incredible women of color who were, breaking ceilings and knocking down walls and still having to deal with Jim Crow and all of the ugliness that, America threw at African Americans during the 19th century. And yet they still rose. So they are very, very inspiring to me. So, and I'm inspired by a good book. I like telling a great story. I like telling a story that's going to keep you up all night. One of the women on Twitter was saying that, she reads my books and she missed her train. She missed a stop on her train. So she looked up and she was 3 stops past where she was supposed to be. So she had to get off, call her husband, tell him, can you come pick me up? Because I'm 3 stops past the house. So that inspires me too. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, Cindy.
Yeah, Bev, tell us about the Blessings series.
Okay. I made my name writing a historical romance. But I also do a women's fiction series called the Blessing series. My editor came to me, my agent, this is how it started. My agent was very, very insistent upon me starting a small town series. I didn't want to do no small town series. I was content to keep writing these award-winning African-American historical romances, right? So, after my husband passed away, I was up in Granville with my mother-in-law, and I got a phone call from an agent. And she never calls. This was 2006 or 2007. And she didn't even have a cell phone back then. She was a Luddite in some ways. So I thought somebody had died in New York, right? So I said, okay, well, what's going on? And she said, well, I sold the series. And I'm like, what series? And she said, the small town series that, you're going to write. And she and I have been together for 1,000 years. We've been together almost 30 years. And so I'm like, what series? So she said that again, the series you're going to write. And she said, and this is the money. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, I guess I'm writing a small town series. So the first book, it's about a woman who is not Oprah. I had to tell people a lot of that in the beginning. She catches her husband cheating. And her husband is a vice president of an oil company. So, they got more money than God. So she gets this huge divorce settlement. And unlike me, who would have bought like Dooney bags and shoes, she buys a town that she finds on eBay that is a historic African-American town that was founded in the mid-1800s. Because people buy towns on eBay all the time. Sure they do. So she buys this town, and there's nobody there but senior citizens. We all live in a small town, and when things are bad, sometimes there's no young people, there's no infrastructure, there's nothing to keep the young people in town. So before she was married to the cheating husband, she used to be a social worker. And so she wants to take this money because when much is given, much is expected. And she wants to take this money and raise this town and bring in at-risk kids and have them raised old school by these senior citizens who are still living in this town. So she recruits foster parents, and she starts throwing money at infrastructure, and now they got Wi-Fi, and the senior citizens have got health care. I mean, it's awesome. I'm on book 10 now. It's a series that has crossed race, boundaries, barriers, ages. Teenagers are reading it because there's 5 kids in the story. I have a hat wearing old white guy down in Arkansas who's on my Twitter feed who is reading the series. And I don't remember which book it was, he sent me a text. He said, "Miss Bev, you should not be making old white guys cry." I have gotten emails from drill sergeants, retired Marines, who said, I know I'm not your demographic, or I know your publisher thinks I'm not your demographic, but I love these books. So they have been a blessing. The first book, because I'm an adoptive parent, the first book basically wrote itself. And I'm having just a great time. So I'm writing romance on one side, and I'm doing this women's fiction on the other. And I just love what I do. I love what I do. Traveling all over the country, sitting with good crowds like you people here. It's been an amazing 25-year journey. Yes?
Have you ever thought about writing a cozy mystery?
No.
Like a small town story?
No, because, there's some people that are doing it that are way better at it than me. I try and stay with, I don't try and stay with what I know, but whatever inspires me. I have not. Now, I've had a lot of mysteries in my writings. Edge of Dawn is a great mystery.
Yes.
They're looking for an icon that was given to one of the black guys from Harlem during World War II by the Ethiopian government when the Nazis came in. So they're trying to find, it's called the Eye of Sheba. So they're trying to find that. So I got a lot of mysteries in my work. But, insofar as, okay, this is a cozy mystery. I've got young adult too. I've got 2 young adults for all those of you who have young daughters or sons who want historical stuff. Very age appropriate. I don't play that. Because I do write heat. Yes, Mary?
Are any of your movies, are any of your books going to be in movies at some point in time?
Well, we just released one New Year's Eve.
What was the name of that?
It's called Deadly Sexy.
I think what?
Deadly Sexy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about this. She's got it's the girlfriend back there has the DVD back there.
Oh, okay.
Hollywood doesn't necessarily do African American romance. Okay. So an author named Iris Bowling, who writes African American romance, got tired of waiting for Hollywood to get it together. So she taught herself, took classes, and turned herself into a filmmaker. Sort of like self-taught like Ava, but not the big, platform that Ava has. So she filmed 3 of her books. And she and I were at a workshop together, and she wanted to know, and she loves my stuff, she wanted to know if she could film one of my books. And I'm like, okay. So we had, and neither one of us have, big bucks money. So we did it as a crowdfunding. We did it as a GoFundMe campaign. We wanted to raise $100,000. We raised $70,000. But what she did with that $70,000 was amazing. So she's getting ready to do Brenda Jackson next. It's on Amazon. You can hit up Iris's website. Her name's Iris Bowling. You can hit up her website if you want a DVD. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. It was amazing seeing my story come to life. And the guy that's the hero wasn't bad to look at. Very easy on the eyes. In fact,
He's a model.
yeah, he's a model. He's on my new book. He'd never done a cover before, so had him flown to New York and pose and take his shirt off and pose with this young lady. So I would like to see. I mean, the Blessing series got turned down by Lifetime. You know, and I think part of the issue is there's no stereotypes. You know, you got people who are, you know, have whole lives and not lives that Hollywood thinks black people live. So we've got a couple other entities looking at it. Got some stuff in the works that I cannot say now because we're being filmed. I will let you know later. At one point when it's a little bit more cemented.
Is that Tyler Perry and Oprah by any chance?
Oprah doesn't do romance, and do you know how mad my readers would be if Tyler Perry played tomorrow?
He's trying to change his.
No, we're not doing that. Sharon.
Well, you talk about the role of spirituality and faith in your work.
Okay. I've been a member of Trinity Episcopal Church for, almost 30 years now. And I think that, like I said, my writing is a gift. I think whoever the creator, God, the universe, whoever you want to call it, gives us all gifts of some type. And this is mine. The Blessings book has a very spiritual based bedrock. Like I said, in the sense that when much is given, much is expected, which I think is a quote from Luke in a very, modern way of saying it. And that's how I feel my career is. I mean, I've been given an awful lot. So anytime I can, and I don't do like hands-on kind of mentoring, because I ain't got time for that. I'm behind on this book, right? I'm behind all the time. But anytime I can sit down with a young author and brainstorm with them, give them directions, send up a prayer or two on their behalf, try and do what I can for libraries. I have never charged the Belleville Library for anything that I've done. I don't charge the Detroit Public Library for anything that I've done. But if I'm out of town and your library look like it's got a lot of money, Mama need her check, But you try and put out into the universe what you want back. So I try to be very cognizant of who I am, what I'm representing, who I'm representing, and going about it in that way. My faith got me through my husband's death. He was diagnosed in August of '03, and he was gone right after Thanksgiving. So I call it my four faiths: my friends, my faith, my fans, and my family. Got me through that. Every night if stuff got to be crazy, or I needed strengthening, I could go online. I know those women were there to pray with me. So faith means a lot, and I'm still a work in progress. So when I'm usually lecturing and there are no children in the room, the air can get kind of blue. That's part of my brand too. Oh my God, Miss Bev's cussing again. So you are who you are, and you try and put that out in the world. So hopefully that answered your question, Sharon.
It certainly does.
Okay, thank you.
I
Any
already
other-
knew the answer.
She and I've been friends for a long time.
Can you tell
Yeah,
us about your pajama party?
Okay, hold on.
Answer her question.
When is Rebel coming out?
When is what?
Rebel.
Oh, 20. Oh, I got something for you too. 27th, which is next Thursday. Next Thursday? Well, 2 Thursdays. Girl, I don't know. I'm behind on this book.
I know you always run into the dungeon.
I know. I always run into the cave. I got covers for you though. You too. Any other questions? Yes.
Forgive me if I'm a little late.
That's okay.
Someone did already ask this, but I just wanted to ask you, how do you go about creating the characters and making these worlds that just feel so real? Like, what is your process for like going through and researching and making sure everything is accurate to put it in that time period?
Well, I try and make sure everything's accurate, first of all, because y'all will write me. Y'all will write me and say, Miss Bev, that ain't right. I don't get that often, because I try and be right to start with. And if I make a mistake, usually it's my mistakes, not the history stuff. You know, I've interpreted it wrong or whatever. But you know, it's you start with your, we need to do a workshop, Mary Jo, on world building. And how you build that world so that it is real. Because if you don't have a good base for your world building, then your characters are going to be walking around going, well, where are we? And so are the readers. You use your 5 senses when you write. If it's a state fair or a carnival, I want to smell the popcorn in there. I want the texture of the cotton candy. I want to hear the calliope in the background. So you use all of those things to create that world that your characters, and you're not really building characters. You're playing God. You're creating people. So you got to give them likes and dislikes, and even if you don't use the information in the book, what's their birthday? How'd they get that scar on the side of their head? Did they fall out of a tree when they were 4 years old? I mean, things that make you human will make your characters human. So you draw on your experiences, you draw on stuff that moved you. It doesn't necessarily have to be you, but what creates a real person is how you get your characters to walk and talk and be true to your vision and your story. Does that help? You're welcome. Yes,
Ever modeled after real people?
No, not really. I mean, some of my heroines have some of my traits. Before GPS, I was lost all the time. I mean, I could get to the place where I needed to be, but I couldn't get home. So I have a character, a doctor, in Vivid, my second book. The book is set on the western side of the state, in Niles, St. Joe, Benton Harbor area, because there were African American communities there before the state even became a state in 1836. So she gets lost a lot with her mule. She got this mule called Michigan, and she's riding around, doing the things that doctors do, and she can never get home because she's lost. So that was me. And I snore when I sleep. My poor husband. And he was like, okay, baby, I got to go to work in the morning. You need to find someplace else to sleep, right? So, Catherine, the journalist, in Topaz, snores. So you put little things like that, I mean, in your characters. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Just, little things like that. So that's about it, though. Yeah. Oh, and as much as I love sports, so that's my sports agent, too. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
The toughest part, I find, is marketing.
Is what?
Marketing.
Oh, yeah.
How do you sell a book?
Yeah, because because that's something you can't control.
Any suggestions?
Yeah, well, to try and put yourself in positions where readers are, like this. Do fairs, do cons. Get with groups go with groups where there are other writers. And the marketing, you market with each other and you network with each other. It's hard. It's very, very hard. Which is probably why I don't do independent, because I'm lazy. I am not going to have books in my trunk going from here to place to place to place to place trying to sell my book. That's, do that, traditional. That's why they get 80% of what I write. So, but it's difficult. Go to Jane's website and see what the tips she has on marketing. Because if she has anything, I know it's a great idea. But yeah, it's hard. Because it's something you can't control. Yeah, Leslie.
How do you determine your schedule for the year? And how do you know who to turn down and who not?
I need somebody to tell people no. I spent all of last year on the road. I traveled from February to November last year. I was in Atlanta 4 times. I went to Seattle. I was in, all these different places. I mean, you have to decide what is valuable and what's not. Is this going to benefit my career? Am I going to meet new readers? Are they paying me? Because this is how you make your living too. People think you're just going to show up and be free. No. You don't go to work for free. And I'm scheduled out now till 2020. This is supposed to be my sit my butt down year so that I can get the writing done. My editor's like, hallelujah. And we have to leave room to write. So, at the beginning of my career, I did a lot of stuff free. Because you're supposed to. Because that's how you get your name out there. And that's how you make connections and all of that. But now, I've been out here for 25 years. Pay me. Maybe not a lot. Because not all organizations are equal. I mean, if University of Michigan, you're going to pay. And you're going to pay a lot. But the little library that I was in Lake Charles, Louisiana 2 weeks ago, I take their little $1,500. That's not much for them. And I paid for my own flight. Mm-hmm. So, you try and work out stuff. But if you get to the point like me where you wake up and you don't know what city you're in, it's time to dial back. And that's what I'm doing this year. So I'm supposed to be at an event tomorrow. I turned that down because I got stuff to do. I'm behind on this book, as I've said for 1,000 times. Does that help at all?
Yes.
Coming to our end. Can you share about your pajama party coming up?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's doors are closed.
Oh, okay.
So it's, I have a pajama party every 2 years for my family. I got one last thing to do before she puts me out. I'm sorry. Whenever I speak, I usually close with this. It's from a word player's manifesto. I wish I was brilliant enough to have come up with this, but it's not mine. You're a writer. Claim the title. Writers write, so make time for it every day. Set realistic goals. Embrace the ecstasy of writing. Read, 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 read. Follow your heart, not the market. Don't just start stories, finish them. Dream big. Learn the rules, follow the rules, break the rules. Constructive criticism, solicit, accept, manage. Put your ego in your back pocket and sit on it. Writing is a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the scenery. Give back to the writing community. Write scared. Remember, you are the master of inspiration, not its slave. Set your stories free. Send them out into the world. Don't slack on the hard stuff. Outline, research, rewrite. Build a lifestyle that nurtures and supports your writing. Love what you do. Write with joy. Thank you very much.
All right.
Everyone, please stay and visit all of we have 13 wonderful local authors here today, writing in a variety